All right, welcome back to another SCV GOP update. Again with our valiant and intrepid chairman, Mark Hershey. How you doing, man?
Good. Good afternoon. How are you today?
I can't complain. So we've been asked some really interesting questions that we wanted to talk about today. One of the big questions I get when I tell people, oh, hey, I'm on the 38th Assembly, or the Central Committee of the 30th Assembly District, whatever that mouthful is that we're on, okay, is they say, well, what is that? And there's this not a deep understanding of why it's important, but what exactly is the 38th and what is it in charge of and how does it affect people's lives in Santa Clarita?
We are in charge, basically, the 38th Assembly District area, which is, I'd say, mostly Santa Clarita, a little bit of northern LA, like Porter Ranch, I think it is, and it goes over to Simi. So, but the majority, the part I'm familiar with, is Santa Clarita. So we elect an assemblyman every 2 years, or an assembly person every 2 years. And it's important to us to have Republicans, conservative, like-minded people in that position in order to keep away from a supermajority, which the Democrats just do whatever they want. We don't even have to talk about it. So we got to break that. But also, it's all about local. We need to have our assembly person and state senator do what we want locally, and that's what we want.
Okay, so for those of you unfamiliar with California politics, basically in a nutshell, just like the United States of America has a House of Representatives and a Senate that create the bicameral Congress, okay? The California state legislature is composed of, or the California Congress, whatever you want to call it, is composed of an assembly, the state assembly, that has 80, if I'm correct, assemblymen or women. And then there is the state senate, which is composed of 40 state senators. Okay. And so obviously, just like the House of Representatives and the Congress is more populous and has elections more often, the state assembly has elections every 2 years, and they're the ones that generally introduce the bills and draft legislature. It then graduates and goes to the Senate. If it passes the Senate and then seeks approval from what was Jerry Brown, now Gavin Newsom, in the governor's office, okay? And it's important because these things really affect our lives. I mean, I'm terrified of some of the things that Christy Smith is doing right now. I mean, her first vote was something benign and just, approving who's going to be the Speaker of the California House or something like that. But the second bill literally was a bill introduced, maybe not introduced by her, but definitely sponsored by her or supported by her, that, for lack of a better term, outlaws charter schools in Santa Clarita.
In the whole state, I believe.
Well, yeah. Exactly. Well, technically, it was a rule about whether or not charter schools could be inside of your district or outside of your district. But it's very common that charter schools inside of a city will actually be chartered and sponsored by a different district, because the district that the charter school's in, A, doesn't want to admit it's failing or that it needs charter schools, okay? And B, that's just the way it goes. There's some districts that have tons of red tape and it gets impossible to get a charter. And there's other districts that have a lot less red tape and they offer more charters, such as Sulphur Springs School District. And so, do you know how many parents of children with special needs depend upon the SCVI iLead program for their homeschooling and their alternative education and so on and so forth? And Christy Smith marketed herself as this great moderate, this pro-education, pro-nonpartisan, let's roll up our sleeves and get it done for the kids and for the vets and for the first responders. And then her second legislative action is, actually no, her second one I think was about how bills are introduced. But one of her first legislative actions, let's just say, to truncate the argument, was to literally make it so that SCVI cannot exist. She's dumping the most successful charter school in Santa Clarita, all the while touting her educational background. I mean, it's the height of hypocrisy. It's frustrating, and I fear it because parents need choice. Some kids don't do well with certain teachers or with certain environments. Some kids have special needs, and we can't be liberal individuals. We can't be loving individuals. We can't be people that care about the children are all in it for the children. If we're not giving the children the most opportunities they can to succeed, and if charter schools are part of that, then so be it. And she's the biggest threat to charter schools that I've seen in Santa Clarita in 30 years.
Yes, and what they just voted on, my understanding, is get rid of all the charter schools. So you're speaking of one. I know of Mission View Charter School that's out here, and that one caters to students who would otherwise not be in school more likely. There's some movie actors that are in there because they have very convenient hours, but also people that are pregnant or they have to work because one of their parents is no longer in the picture or is deceased.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of reasons they do that. And these kids would have not been in school. And that school district, that charter school, is saving them, sometimes introducing them back into the school they came from, and sometimes they graduate straight from Mission View. But they're working cooperatively with Hart School District, which is very appreciative to have them.
Yeah.
And it's a win-win-win because otherwise your dropout rate would be much higher, and Mission View is saving them, and some get diverted back to the school. But it's great. You can't paintbrush one law and just say it's bad, evil stuff. And you're talking about one charter school, and I'm talking about another one. That's at least two. Maybe Cody knows another one. There's charter schools all over the place. You can't just do it that way. You need to look at the big picture. You don't do it because the teachers union or the public schools say we want because we want.
So why is she doing it? Is it just because the money donated to her from teachers and teachers unions is so big, and the teachers unions have always hated charter schools because it takes away some of the power from the teachers union and gives it back to the parents, and the unions don't like it. I know tons of teachers that are very pro charter school. So all I can say is if you can't say you care as a Santa Clarita resident, you cannot say you care about the children and you care about education and not be against the idea of parents having more choice in who teaches and how they teach their children. Keep checking in with us on all the social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as SCV GOP. See you guys next week.